All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel if you're coming back. Welcome if you're new here. My name is Marissa Price. I'm a social worker, healer, business educator, specifically supporting Black women in creating and growing digital businesses to get free of toxic jobs, toxic workplaces, and even toxic countries, if that is your dream. So I'm so glad you're here. And I have a wonderful guest with me today, Jacquie Abram, and I will pass it over to her to introduce herself.
Thank you so much. Again, I'm Jacquie Abram. I am the international best-selling and award-winning author of Hush Money: How One Woman Proved Systemic Racism in Her Workplace and Kept Her Job, and Hush Money: The Cost of Being Black in Corporate America. I've been featured on Forbes, Spectrum News, ABC News, among many other media outlets and platforms. And I'm just so excited to be back with you again, Marissa.
Yes, I know. Yes. And you do have an upcoming masterclass coming out, so we're
Yes.
going to talk about that. But
Okay.
I would love to just ask for those who don't know, just would love to know just about your experiences in corporate settings just over the course of your career, because a lot of us can unfortunately relate to the experiences that you've had, right, in corporate settings as Black women. So if anything you'd like to share about that.
Thank you for asking. And
Mhm.
Marissa, I'm just going to take a moment and share my screen, okay?
Absolutely.
So hopefully you can see this picture of
Yeah.
me, okay?
Yeah.
And let me just kind of start with my background. So I was actually born and raised in poverty by the most amazing, I mean, just absolutely amazing single mother that a girl could ask for. And my mom had this absolutely incredible ability, Marissa, of turning nothing into something. One of my favorite memories with my mom was doing something called trash surfing. We were very poor. We lived in a house that was infested with so many roaches.
Mm.
But also, this house had no carpeting. There was just a cement floor, which got really cold in the winter. And so we would trash surf. We would go to carpet stores every day after my mom got off work and dig through their trash bins and find scraps of carpet, any kind, any shape, any color, didn't matter. And we would collect all of those scraps of carpet and take them home. And about 2 months later, we had collected enough scraps to actually sew our own carpet together, as you can see here in this picture.
Wow.
So Dolly Parton said she had a coat of many colors. Well, we
Yeah.
had a carpet of many colors. And we were proud of that accomplishment because my mom was ambitious. She didn't have the money to buy carpeting, but we still found a way to make our own. And that was a value that my mom instilled in me. And even though times were extremely tough for us, and I wore shoes that were literally 2 sizes too small, as you can also see in this picture,
Mhm.
I never let that get me down because I fundamentally believed in the American dream. They were teaching me all through elementary school that if you worked hard enough, no matter who you were, that you could achieve success. Okay. So I believed in the American dream and I built my efforts around this concept that we're poor now, but if I put in the work and the effort, I can pull us out of poverty, okay? Marissa, I believed this idea so much that I wore the only red, white, and blue outfit that I had, even well beyond the point that it was tattered and torn, as you can see in this picture. Because, like I said, they promised me and everyone else that no matter who you were, you could achieve success. And Marissa, they were right because when I entered corporate America,
Mhm.
I achieved success, okay?
Yeah.
I got into higher education. I was successful. I was making very good money. I was good at my job. I was climbing that corporate ladder so fast, getting promotion after promotion after promotion. And I really thought I had made it. Now, back when I was little, okay, we didn't have carpet, okay. I wore shoes that were 2 sizes too small. I had clothes that were tattered and torn, and when there was no food, I ate dog biscuits, okay, that I got from the neighbor. But all that changed when I got into higher education, and I made it. I really did make it, Marissa. But here's the thing. There was a part of the American dream that no one told me about. And so as I was climbing that success, and I got a house with a carpet that was all the same color, shoes that were the right size, clothes that weren't torn, and I had cookies, real cookies, no more dog biscuits for this girl. But here's what happened.
Mhm.
As I was climbing that corporate ladder, somebody in the organization noticed me. And the person who was noticing me was not there when I started. There was a change in leadership. Somebody left, somebody came in. And now this person who's noticing me is not only in a higher position than mine, but they were also a racist. And as they were teaching us about the American dream, they didn't say anything about racism. Okay. But now this racist is noticing me. And this racist doesn't believe that I deserve the position that I hold in this organization. And so he began targeting me. And because of his power, influence, and authority, he successfully inspired others in the organization to conspire with him. And before I knew it, that ladder that I was climbing up on, they pulled that rug from under me. Me and that ladder, we came crashing down. Now, the first time that happened, Marissa, I'm going to be honest with you, I was feeling some kind of way.
Mhm.
I was traumatized because of how they did it. They humiliated me. They embarrassed me. They made me a black workhorse. They set me up to fail. They silently sabotaged me. And so I was traumatized.
Yeah.
But I had two girls, you know, I don't want to lose everything that I've accumulated.
Right.
Okay. But I left that organization, ran to the next one, because I looked good on paper. Getting a job was never difficult for me once I entered higher education. Getting good paying jobs were not difficult. Holding on to them was. And it wasn't because there was something lacking that I wasn't giving to this organization, because I was giving it everything I had to give. It was because I ran from this company because I was Black. And when I ran to this next company, guess what?
Mm.
I was still Black.
Mm. Yeah.
And so the same thing happened to me again. But Marissa, over that 20-year period, my career was derailed 5 times. And so if you can imagine what that does to you psychologically, how that damages you, compounding the trauma, compounding the damage. And so I walked away from all of these organizations, some on my own, some I was forced to leave,
Yeah.
but I always went back and I fought because I knew how to fight. Okay. I always went into these jobs hoping for the best. But after my very first experience, I learned quickly. And then I said, okay, from this point forward, I'm going to go into these jobs hoping for the best, but preparing from day one for the worst. And so I started setting these companies up. Okay. And
Mm.
I never walked away from a single job empty handed. Yes, you may have forced me out, or yes, I may have left, but I always came back and I always fought and I got my 6-figure settlements. Okay.
Yeah.
I did it. And so I wanted to teach other Black women,
Yeah.
okay, and Black men, okay, what I knew about fighting back. because I don't want you to have to leave and then go back and fight because, yes, I did that, but there was a cost. Okay.
Right.
I left. Okay. In between time, I'm living off of the savings that I have accumulated. When my savings ran out, me and my girls were homeless, okay? Because yes, I've gone back and I'm fighting, but it takes a while for you to get to that settlement period, okay? And in between time, you are running out of money because you've been forced out of your career. So these books were born, okay, as survival guides to teach our people how to fight while you're there, okay? How to fight back in that covert, hidden, sneaky way that they are setting you up on that same covert, hidden, sneaky level, but do it while you're still earning a paycheck, okay?
Thank you. Thank you for that. And thank you for sharing those pictures too.
Yeah,
That was great to see those.
yeah,
But I did want to ask, I know that for me, I can relate to that, right? The lie of the American dream.
yes,
Um, Growing up, like as a first generation college student, fast tracked into like the world of banking, finance. And it was never told to me what to be prepared for once I entered those spaces.
yes,
That there would be people who are antagonistic towards me, right? Just because I'm a Black woman in a space
yes.
um, that they don't want me to be in. So I would
Mhm.
love to ask you about like how can we prepare younger generations, because I feel like that's so key, to be aware of what you may encounter when you step into these workplaces, because that knowledge doesn't transfer, unfortunately,
Right,
often, from
right.
generation to generation. I feel like that's such a missed opportunity. So I'd love to ask you about that.
It really is. And honestly, that is why we created this master class. To my knowledge, this is the only master class that exists right now that actually teaches our people how to fight discrimination, okay?
Mm,
How to fight racial discrimination
right.
in a toxic workplace. Because there are things that you need to know. I mean, for starters, I take on clients, and Marissa, I shared with you, I sent you an email several weeks ago, and I said, one of the people who watched me on your show, the
Yeah.
last time that you had me on, there were actually several people that came to me and they became my clients. But one of them, we were able to settle her case within 4 weeks. So
Mm,
she was going through the most heinous, I mean, just most egregious forms of racial discrimination. Just to give you an example of what that looks like, she would walk into a room. Now, she's the only Black woman on a team of 4 people. She's the only non-manager. So everyone else on this team is at a manager level, and then there's a director.
yeah.
And every time she would walk into a room, whether it's a conference room with many other people, including her team, or whether it's just in a private meeting room with just her team, whether it is a social gathering after work with a lot of other people, no matter where they were in this work environment, okay?
Mhm.
The minute she would walk into a room, these managers would do this. And if she was sitting next to them, okay, so she sits down with her team during the presentation or whatever's going on, these people would scoot away from her, isolating her. So now she's by herself as they're scooting away. They're doing this thing. And then throughout the conference or whatever happens to be going on, someone would go grab a fan, bring it into the room, and instead of letting the oscillation go, just turn it and point it directly at her.
Mm,
Throw mints on the table, to just really make a spectacle of this woman. And it was heartbreaking. I mean, just heartbreaking when she reached out to me and she said, I saw you on Marissa's YouTube channel and I need your help.
Yeah.
And so it was really, I mean, just you can't imagine what a good feeling it was for me as someone who has also been under the most egregious forms of racial discrimination. I actually left corporate America to save my sanity, okay? To save my sanity because of the egregious way that they are now targeting us in the workplace, okay? It's not like it used to be where it's easy to spot. It's hidden, okay? And so in her case, they're doing these things to her. And to me, that was not covert. They didn't care. They were just flat out doing it overtly. They didn't care.
Right.
Okay. Yes. And the only reason we were able to settle her case in 4 weeks is because there were other people, okay, in the conferences at these social gatherings. When the company did their investigation, some of those people said, yeah, we felt uncomfortable, you
Mm.
know? And
Yeah.
so that doesn't happen very often, but in her case, there were enough that stood up for her, and the company did right by her.
Wow. Wow.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yes.
That
So
story. Yeah.
so
Hmm.
going back to your question, I'm long-winded. I can talk,
Oh,
okay?
you're good.
So what people need to learn, Black women right out of high school, okay,
Mhm.
is that you need to go into that job hoping for the best, but preparing from day one for the worst. And so many women that come to me are woefully unprepared. And you would be surprised, these people that are woefully unprepared when it comes to discrimination, that are at the point of being completely broken, okay?
Mm.
Completely broken. I've got clients that are doctors. I've got
Mhm.
clients that are CEOs. I've got clients that are directors of HR, okay?
Wow.
Yes.
Mhm.
I've got clients that work in diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay, they're the head of it.
Right.
And these women are broken, okay? And the psychological toll that modern day racism is taking on them because of the sneaky, hidden covertness
Mhm.
is absolutely appalling. And that's why I decided with my girls, we're going to offer a class, okay? We're going to teach everyone. We're going to let them learn from our mistakes. So we're putting and it's really my experiences, okay? My
Mhm.
Hush Money books are based on me, my experiences in higher education, okay? And it teaches all of the mistakes that I made, because I made a lot in the beginning, okay?
Mhm.
Because I didn't know what I was doing. So, it's trial and error. I made a lot
Mhm.
of mistakes.
Yeah.
I suffered a lot of trauma. I can't tell you how many fibroids I have, but at last count, I was at 6. And I'm
Oh.
sure I've got more. Okay.
Mhm.
I had hair loss. Um, my body erupted in weight gain,
Yeah.
panic attacks. Just, there's so much trauma that comes from these toxic environments for us.
Yeah.
But then as I started learning, okay, I got it right. And then I was able to use the strategies that I teach in my master class repeatedly. Okay.
Mhm.
I took down more than a half a dozen toxic employers in my career. And then I've done it so many times for friends, relatives. I mean, you name it. And now I'm doing it for total strangers. But my methods work. And that's why we decided, we want to create warriors. We are tired of seeing our people walking away from their jobs empty handed. And thinking that running from this job to the next job is going to have a more favorable outcome,
Right.
because that doesn't happen. I've got a client right now, okay? She had a beautiful, glowing career, okay? And
Mhm.
for 16 years, she was flourishing. She had been promoted almost like 9 times. She got all these awards and accolades. I mean, certificates for being an overachiever. And she was now close to retiring. But the last promotion she got, okay, now this is after 16 years, the
Mhm.
last promotion she got, she ended up reporting to a racist. And in 9 months, she was fired from her job. In 9 months, her entire 16-year career, you know, almost 9 promotions. Okay.
Mhm.
Every award you can imagine was unraveled in 9 months by a racist who inspired others in the organization to conspire with him. And so, to answer your question, anybody coming into corporate America needs to take my master class, because you're going to learn from A to Z how to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. So many people, they leave what I call gold on the table, Marissa.
Mm.
And so when they come to me asking for help, or they go to try to seek an attorney, okay, because I'm not an attorney. So let me just make that clear.
Right.
I am not an attorney. I am not in a position to give legal advice, but I am a Black woman who has lived this nightmare. So, what I know doesn't come from textbooks, it comes from living this nightmare and actually succeeding, overcoming it, winning, and getting that payday so that I could do what I'm doing right now, which is get the hell out of corporate America,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah.
and do what I'm doing on my own terms. Now I am my own boss, and now I'm creating other warriors. And as you said, I mean, the work you do, you you
Mhm.
you can't do that unless you've got some seed money.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's true.
You can't just walk away from your job and have no
Mhm.
income. You got to
Right.
start somewhere.
Right.
And those settlements, those severance packages, okay,
Mhm.
when you walk away from that toxic job, they help you. Okay, they really do help. Whether you take a year or two off to decompress, de-escalate, to rejuvenate so that you can go back in to the next corporate job, or whether you decide this country is not for me and you move to Mexico like you did.
Oh, I sure did. I sure did.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. And so that's what I do. I teach our Black women how to walk away, but walk away on your own terms. If you're going to walk away from a toxic job to save your sanity, like I did, that is okay. But why walk away empty handed?
Mm, that's key. Why walk away empty-handed? Yeah, and I
Yeah.
wish I would have had this knowledge. Like I always tell
Mhm.
you, I wish I would have had this, like when I was still there, because I was at the point where it was like my sanity or stay in the role. Like it got to
Right.
the point where I felt like, I don't know if this was real, but I felt like my organs were shutting down. Like
Mhm.
it got to that point of just the amount of stress, the amount of things I had internalized and not been able to verbalize. There was a point where I lost my voice
Yes.
physically because of things that I just couldn't speak up about in the environment I was in. So I was at that point. So I think like having a master class like this and being able to take proactive action, even if
Yes.
you're not at that space, even if your job is not toxic yet, like you said, it could just take a change in a leader. And then you're in the situation of what do I do? This
That's
person is
right.
sabotaging me,
Yes.
discriminated against me. So that's key to take proactive action with this
Oh,
masterclass?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, I started my consultancy. So I have a consultancy. It's called Jacquie Abram Speaking and Consulting. But in my consultancy, my title is the Employees Workplace Discrimination Consultant. And so in my pool of clients that I have amassed since starting this consultancy, there is a key theme that I see, which actually hurts their chances of getting that settlement. Okay.
Mhm.
One of the things that I find is that some Black women, okay, they know that what they're experiencing is racial discrimination, but they are afraid to let the words racial discrimination or racism fall from their lips. And so they will call it everything under the sun, but what it is, okay?
Mhm.
And part of the ability to negotiate these big settlements is you have to have told that company, I am experiencing a racially hostile work environment. I am experiencing racial discrimination, but for some reason, there are many women who are afraid and men who are
Mhm.
afraid to say those words. So they will call it everything under the sun, but what it is. They will say, I am experiencing workplace mobbing. I'm being harassed. I'm experiencing sabotage. But they will never call it what it is. And that actually hurts you. It decreases your chances of getting that settlement. Okay. So you have to call it what it is. That's one of the things that I teach in my masterclass. One of the other things that I have noticed with many of the people who seek me out is that when I ask them for the basic documents, okay, the basic documents, Marissa,
Mhm.
they don't have them. I say, well, where's your employment agreement? Oh, it was on my company computer. Did you sign an arbitration agreement? I don't know. Okay.
Mm, mhm. Yeah.
And so if you're leaving all that gold on the computer and you are expecting me to perform a miracle, okay, it makes my job harder, but it also decreases your chances. So, from day one, when you are being onboarded,
Mhm.
and they've given you your job description. You need to be putting that job description in a nice, safe place. And I teach you all the different storage options that are free in my masterclass, okay?
Mhm.
You should not be leaving that gold on your computer. And so if you're not collecting the bare basics, okay, how likely is it that you're collecting the real evidence, okay? So I encourage everybody to look at their employment agreements right now. And if you have signed a clause about arbitration, they employers do that on purpose. Do you know about arbitration agreements?
I don't.
Okay.
No.
So in recent years, employers started having these arbitration agreements as part of the hiring packet. Okay. And so typically, that arbitration agreement will be a standalone document, okay? Or they will hide it inside of that employment agreement, okay?
Mhm.
But basically, what the arbitration agreement does is it says, Marissa, we're hiring you for this position, okay? But if at any point you start experiencing discrimination in our company, okay, or you have any grievances against our company at all, you waive your right to go to court. You waive your right to a jury trial. Now, why is that important? I'll give you an example. There was a woman about a year ago in
Mhm.
Fort Worth, Texas, who worked for FedEx, and she went through some of the most egregious forms of racial discrimination. She opted they offered her a little, tiny severance package of couple of weeks of pay. She said, no, no, not after what you did to me. No,
Mhm.
absolutely not.
Mhm.
And she saw it through. She got an attorney and she ended up taking FedEx to court. Okay. They went in front of a jury. The jury agreed that there was substantial evidence proving that she had experienced racial discrimination,
Mhm.
and they awarded her $380 million. Okay. $380 million. Okay.
Mhm.
That's why employers put arbitration agreements into these new hire packets. Okay. Because they don't want to be responsible for paying a $380 million award. Now, it's going to take her a while to get that award because when you go to court, okay, you can appeal. So the company FedEx has already appealed. So every time they appeal, and you can appeal at least 3 times, that adds another year or so onto the next court date, the next hearing date.
Mhm.
So it'll be 4 to 5 years before she sees a dime of that money if it still sticks. Okay. That's why I teach people how to fight and negotiate with their company so you don't have to ever worrying about going to court, having the company file appeals if you win, everything's done here. Okay.
Mhm.
But those arbitration agreements, if you waive your right to be able to go to court and go in front of a jury, a lot of them will also say that they, the employer, get to select the arbitrator. And
Mhm.
so you have to go before an arbitrator of their choosing, and their golf buddy, who's a judge, okay, is going to be the arbitrator.
Yeah.
And no matter how much evidence you provide, they're going to say there's nothing to see here. Okay. In many cases. And so that's why it's important for you. So I encourage everyone,
Mhm.
look at your employment agreements today and see if you have signed an arbitration agreement, either embedded inside of that employment agreement or as a standalone document. And that way you know what you're up against and you can know what your rights are and how you can move forward if you're in a toxic environment.
Mm. That's key.
Yes,
Something you touched on, documentation, which I know is huge.
yes,
To start documenting from day one, like you said, even during the onboarding process, it's key to start
yes.
keeping track of
It's
that.
key.
And I know you said the E in email stands for evidence. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay,
that's my motto.
I
The
committed that to
E,
memory.
yes, the E in email stands for evidence.
Yeah.
Email is one of the most powerful weapons that you have in this arsenal that you are creating to protect your career. And it's probably one of the most underutilized methods. And so, just to give you an example of how to weaponize email, and we really do a deep dive in my master class. But one of the biggest missed opportunities that I see a lot of people make is that when you start a new job or you get a promotion into a different job, things are usually, for the most part, pretty good in the beginning. And it's during the beginning, I call it the honeymoon phase,
Mhm.
that you are getting, some compliments, you're getting some attaboys, some kudos, some accolades.
Mhm.
But they're usually always verbal. So somebody will say, Marissa, great job on that presentation you gave 10 minutes ago.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
And so if you're not taking those verbal compliments and converting them into real tangible evidence, when all the crap starts, and crap means, okay, the very first thing they're going to do when you start getting targeted by this leader who doesn't want you in the position that you have, step number one is make her appear incompetent. Okay.
Mhm.
So they're going to start sabotaging you and your ability to do your job and sabotaging your work. And if all you have are verbal compliments, okay, then it's your word against theirs that at that time when they gave you the compliment, you were doing a good job. They're going to deny it unless you've weaponized email. So, Marissa, you and I are walking down the hall, and you say, Jackie, great job on that presentation you gave on covert racism 10 minutes ago. I'm going to thank you, and then I'm going to run back to my office, and I'm going to open up an email. I'm going to put in the subject, thank you. And then I'm going to say, Dear Marissa, you know, thank you for the compliment you gave me about the covert racism training I gave 10 minutes ago when we were walking in the hallway. Oh, you just made my day. Now, Marissa gets that email and she's like, no problem, you deserve it. Or maybe she ignores it, but it doesn't matter. Now you've got a piece of tangible evidence that shows on this day at this time, you were doing a good job. And if you collect that kind of tangible evidence, okay, every time you get a verbal compliment or there's any type of verbal conversation at all that you're going to need, let me give you another example.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Marissa, okay, I think your work is great. And so there's this really huge, massive project that I want you to take on for your professional growth and development. I really think you'll be great at this. It's going to really help you. And you know that the only reason she's given you this project is because she don't want to do it anymore. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So she gives you this project. Most people would be like, okay, and then we take it on, and now we're working 60, 70, 80 hours a week trying to keep up with all this work. That's a Black workhorse.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've weaponized email and you say, Dear Jackie, thank you for asking me to take on this project. Okay. Um, I understand that you want me to do this because of professional development. I really appreciate the opportunity. Okay. So when I get that email, it's harmless. It's like, no problem. But now you've got a piece of tangible evidence that shows that this massive project that you are now doing is nowhere on your job description. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now you've got proof that they are giving you a heavier workload than other people in your same position, and you're not getting paid to take on this extra work.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are just a couple of examples of how to weaponize email. And that's how you create evidence where no evidence exists.
Ooh, key. That's powerful. That's powerful. I mean, even having that information going into a job, being like, this is the strategy, right? Because it
Mhm.
empowers you. Because a lot of the times we feel like we don't have options,
Right.
but arming yourself with that information before you even step foot into it, like, this might happen, this is real. And it brings up something else I wanted to touch on, like the radical acceptance of the
Yes.
systems that we live in. So once you experience a toxic workplace, you might have this hope that the next one you enter won't be toxic, but the
Yes.
fact is they're all in the same system, right?
Yes.
So there's a high chance that it's going to be toxic.
And I'm a perfect example of that. My
Yeah,
career was derailed 5 different times. Okay.
yeah,
I could only make it so far in a
yeah.
company before someone noticed me, because the higher you climb on that ladder, the bigger the target on your back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so racism is not a one-time thing for us in the workplace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's key. Yeah. So I mean, like even attending this masterclass, I mean, the fact that we enter so many of these toxic workplaces, having that information, that's powerful. That's powerful because
Absolutely.
automatically, right, you're at an advantage over someone who is wishing to do you harm just by virtue of how you present, right? They don't like you being there.
That's right.
And it's just as simple as that and unfortunate as that, right? They don't want you there.
That's
So they're
right.
going to try everything that they can to make your life miserable.
Mhm.
But if you have that information that you do have options, you can
Yes.
build a strategy, you can document this and walk away as the victor. I think that's huge.
Oh, it's very empowering. And I'll tell you, for me, not only was getting those big settlement checks, just the most amazing thing at the end of a nightmare.
Mhm.
But companies, and especially their insurance companies,
Mhm.
frown upon having to go deep into their pockets, Marissa. And so when you force them to go deep into their pockets, when they get you out of the way, they actually deal with the people who created this financial nightmare for them. If you walk away empty-handed, the only thing that happens is those people that ran you off are clicking their champagne glasses and laughing at you and taking your salary and promoting all of the people that helped set you up. And
Mhm.
so for me, it was very satisfying
Right.
to go back, to look and see what was going on in that organization after I got my settlement check and I left. 6 months later, just go check and see who's there. Check the list of employees, check with people that I knew and find out, oh, so and so was fired, so and so was fired, so and so was fired, because they deal with those people. So the very people who got you out of your job ended up losing there. And I'm sorry, but that was very satisfying to me
Mm. Mm.
to know that
Yes.
they didn't get away with what they did. And I actually prevented other Black employees from suffering the fate that I did by
Mm.
fighting these people.
Yeah. Mm. That touched me. That touched me because that's one of the fears I had, right? In leaving, I'm like, and especially being on an interview panel, I think, before I left
Yes.
with another Black woman on there, and I was the only Black person on the interview panel.
Mhm.
Um, and I felt like the pressure to lie and conceal what I had actually experienced, and that just tore me up. So
Yes.
even like having that and realizing that you are actually making it better for another Black employee who comes after you, that's huge by getting rid of the
Yes.
people who are causing this harm.
Yes. Now
Hmm.
they may get hired in another company and do the
Yeah.
same thing, but at least in this company, they have been stopped and perhaps they will think twice before they do it to someone else.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. I did want to ask you, I'm just looking at my questions here.
Okay.
For people who may like have a strategy, right? I live abroad now. I left the
Mhm.
US. So how can you incorporate kind of like building your strategy to get a severance package from your job as part of your larger dreams, right? Of starting your own business, of moving out of the country. How can you incorporate that and how can the masterclass help you to do that?
So I actually have clients that are in the UK. I have clients that are in Canada.
Mm.
And no matter what country that a person is in and who the regulatory agency is over employment discrimination, for example, in the UK, they have the tribunal, for example. No matter who you have to go before, okay, to present your evidence, the evidence and the way that you fight is the same, okay? It's not on the company to prove that they're innocent. They don't have to do that.
Mm.
You have to prove that they're guilty. And so all of the strategies that I've implemented here in the States, they are effective in other countries. There's only one country that my strategies are not effective in, and that is Germany. And the reason they're not effective in Germany is because there's no regulator over employment discrimination. So there's nobody for a Black employee to complain to say, I'm experiencing racial discrimination in my job. There's no one there's no kind of entity that is willing to help them.
Mhm.
Mhm. But
Wow.
as long as there is an entity, an organization, a regulator who is willing to investigate a claim of employment discrimination, my methods work. They're very effective.
Mhm.
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 And so that's what you do. You know, again, the reason you want to implement a strategy, Marissa, is because there's only one thing that motivates a company to go into their pockets and pay you, because they're never going to admit in most cases that they did anything wrong. Okay, they're never going to admit that. What they're going to do is they're going to buy your silence because they know that you have enough proof to show the world what happened to you. They don't want you to give your information to anyone else. So they're going to buy your silence to protect their character and their reputation as an organization and an employer. But before they give you that nice severance check or that nice settlement check, they're going to give you something else. They're going to give you a non-disclosure or confidentiality agreement to guarantee your silence so that you can't go out and tell anybody what happened to you in their organization. Okay. So they're going to buy your silence and then they're going to guarantee it. Now, again, some companies will be a little more brazen if you have signed an arbitration agreement, because they know that in a lot of states, even if you go to the civil rights office and they investigate, that they're not going to implement a lawsuit on your behalf. Okay. Now, the EEOC, they have the ability to sue an organization on your behalf, but they don't do that for everyone. So you don't know if you would be one of the people that the EEOC is willing to go that extra mile and file a lawsuit on your behalf. Okay. So that's why it's important to know if you've signed an arbitration agreement, because companies will be a little less likely to settle with you if you have. Now, it's not impossible, okay? But it just makes the strategy, a little more difficult.
Understood. Understood.
Mhm.
But as we're closing, first, I would like to thank you so much for being here. It's
Yes.
always a pleasure to talk with you.
Mhm.
But I would love to hear just a reminder about your masterclass and also your YouTube channel, and then your
Yes.
consulting services and anything else you'd like to share with the audience.
Oh, thank you so much. So my master class is called How to Fight Discrimination in a Toxic Workplace. I'm going to give you the link to that master class. There are only 11 seats left because I keep the cohort small so that I can give you the individual attention that you deserve. So there are only 11 seats left. It is a 5-day online, it's a virtual master class for 1 hour a day for 5 days. If you are not able to make the live coaching time with me, that is okay, because the replay will be immediately available to you. But in that 1 hour a day for 5 days, you're going to learn everything you need to fight the racism and the discrimination you are experiencing in your toxic work environment. So you give me 5 days, 1 hour a day. By the end, you will be emboldened, you will be empowered, and you will be ready to fight. Okay? You will be ready to fight. So when you are ready to leave, you can negotiate your own terms. Now, my master class starts next week. The price for my birthday, so my birthday was New Year's Eve. And up through my birthday, I was offering my master class for $50. Can you believe that?
Oh, wow.
For $50, okay? The price is still discounted right now. So now the tickets are $99. So you're getting, for $20 a day, you're getting invaluable knowledge that you're going to carry with you for the rest of your life, okay?
Yeah.
So it's $99, but it goes up again on January 4th. So through January 4th, it's $99. On the 5th, it goes to its full price. So it goes double that. So if you want to take my master class, it's only $99. You want to register for that class on or before January 4th, because the price is going to go back to full price on January 5th. And then the masterclass starts January 8th. We're going to be doing a deep dive into scenarios out of hush money. Okay. And by the end of that class, like I said, you will be your own Wonder Woman. Okay. You will be your own Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I love it. Mm-hmm.
So that's information on the masterclass. I do a lot of trainings on my YouTube channel. So definitely look me up. My name is Jacquie Abram. I'll also give you the link to my YouTube channel. There are many different videos on my YouTube channel, including a deep dive into the Black workhorse, a deep dive into weaponizing email, a deep dive into, what to do, okay, if a leader or someone else in the organization is inspiring others to conspire with them. Because a lot of times, one of the people that they've inspired to conspire is HR. Okay. And that's a biggie.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. And so, there's going to be a lot of information, but my channel, although its primary focus is on toxic workplaces, we actually cover a lot of other things toxic, including narcissism, toxic friendships, and just the gamut. So it's really a good channel if you want to stay on top of what's happening in the toxic world.
Yes. And we know those spaces are everywhere,
Yes,
unfortunately.
they're
Yes.
everywhere.
Yeah. And I did want to ask about your consulting services, since I know people who have watched my channel before have come to
Yes.
you and been
Mhm.
successful at negotiating severance packages. So if you'd like to share
Yes.
anything about that too.
Absolutely. So if you want to talk to me, it starts with an initial consultation. Some people refer to it as a discovery call. I refer to it as an initial consultation. So you can basically reach out to me. I'm going to go ahead and put my email in your description as well. I'll give that to you, Marissa. But
Okay.
if you want to capture it right now, it's very simple. My email is Hush Money Series. So Hush Money and a series like the World Series. So Hush Money Series at gmail.com. Just send me an email, reach out to me, and then we'll go over how to schedule an initial consultation with me to see whether or not I am a good fit for what you are needing and to cover not only what you're going through, but the services that I offer. One of the biggest services that I offer is a comprehensive evidence review to analyze the evidence that you have already collected. And if you're still in your position, what additional things you can do to strengthen that evidence. And then drafting those discrimination complaints, because a poorly written discrimination complaint can harm you. And so those are just a couple of examples of the types of services that I offer.
Thank you. Thank you so
Mhm.
much.
Yes.
And again, I just want to thank you for being here and encourage everyone who's listening, watching to register for the masterclass coming up on January 8th. So
Thank
yes,
you.
yes. Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so
Jacquie.
much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, this has been amazing. And yeah, please like this video so it reaches other people and other people are notified about the masterclass too. So
And
thank y'all so
subscribe
much.
to your channel if they haven't already, and subscribe to mine too.
Yes, yes, both. I
There
love
you
it.
go.
I love it. Thank y'all so much. Until next time. Bye.